Top 5 things that your body does every day that can destroy you. Life is dangerous. You could slip in the shower, get hit by a bus, or get mauled by a bear. It always pays to be safe, and a life lived cautiously is a life lived long. Wrong. See, it turns out just waking up in the morning can be as dangerous as any drunken all-night lion-punching marathon, and here are top 5 things your very own body does that can destroy you. Number 5. Destroyer number 5 is coughing. Coughing just sucks. It has no redeeming qualities. It's not endearing in any way. There is nobody on earth that will find you more sexually attractive due to a cough. But dangerous? Oh yes. On those long, seemingly endless hacking fits, there's always the chance you will suffocate on your own body's so-called protective mechanism, which responds to choking threats by shutting off your airways. There are also cough-induced rib fractures, rupturing of the diaphragm, and even abdominal herniation. That's a broken rib, a ripped diaphragm, and part of your torso leaking out a little, all because you coughed. It's not even rare. It's mentioned that each individual injury is well documented in literature, meaning these kinds of things happen all the time. The rib fracturing and hernias happen often enough that the Wikipedia pages for each affliction list coughing as a common cause. Yet you're basically one coughing fit away from beating the crap out of your insides. Number 4. Not so cool at number 4 is crapping. Man, there just isn't much of a downside to a good crap. It gives us time alone to think, to read, to better ourselves in a plethora of ways. Pooping is what most people do in the Western world instead of meditating. Don't worry, straining to force it out isn't fatal or anything. You might just get away with a mere crippling injury. All that straining can cause diverticulitis, hemorrhoids, and rectal prolapse. Diverticulitis is a condition where pockets in your small intestine become filled with blood, which can then burst, filling your bowels with blood and your blood with duke, and extra bacteria in your body is never a good thing. Hemorrhoids are well known enough that we can just skip over disturbing intimate descriptions of them, but rectal prolapse, that's the kind of injury that makes John Carpenter weep. It is a weakening of the ligaments that hold your intestines together, and in the worst case scenario, your intestines come loose and hangs out of your anus. Luckily, you can avoid all that by... Oh wait, there's not much you can do to avoid it, aside from never, ever straining, or never pooping again. Number 3. At number 3 is yawning. No one is entirely sure why we do it, but everyone does it a few times a day at least. So how could something as innocent as a yawn be dangerous? When you yawn, you open your mouth good and wide, and if for some reason the ligaments in that area are a little loose, your jawbone can come straight out of the joint. Seriously, you could yawn right now, and the more we mention it, the more likely it is. And half of your face could very well explode out of the other half of your face like a cartoon skeleton. But hey, since yawning doesn't just seem to serve any purpose, just don't do it, especially not right now. Unlikely at number 2 is Poppingzits. It's unpleasant, but most of us have done it at some point. You get one of those nasty whiteheads, you go to the bathroom, you pop it. There's no call for describing that, so let's not get grosser than we have to here. Now, everyone knows that popping zits can spread infection and lead to more zits. But there's also the risk of scarring and heavy bleeding, which, when taken to extremes, can lead to a terminal case of cerebral venous sinus thrombosis. You might end up looking like Pizza the Hut, but leave the zits where they are. Let the nose hair grow free and wild, and for Christ's sake, don't even think about facial piercings, if not because you look like a tool, then at least for fear of instant death. Number 1. And destroyer number 1 is sleeping. Sleeping is one of life's simplest, grandest pleasures. Can sleep be dangerous? Sure. People sometimes do weird stuff while asleep. But unless you're driving a car, operating heavy equipment, or walking tightrope over a volcano, that's not going to kill you. Science knows all sorts of reasons why too little sleep can be dangerous. So by extension, getting extra sleep must be like a dip in the hot tub of youth. But of course, life is not run by a system of checks and balances. It's run by horrifying trauma and murderous coincidence. That's probably why a recent British study conversely showed that sleeping too much, more than 7 hours at night, doubles your chances of dying within 11 to 17 years. And not even from cardiovascular disease like those lucky peeps with insomnia. And we'd like to clarify here, they're not saying that an extra hour of sleep will shorten your twilight years a little. They're saying that by hitting the snooze button, you're less likely to see the end of this decade. They aren't really sure why, but just get up earlier. So there you go. Sleep exactly 7 hours a night, not a minute more, not a minute less. Because a late coffee on one side and you'll have a heart attack, a snooze button on the other and you will just mysteriously die within the next 10 years. So, sleep tight.